yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift.
It is not our abilities that show what we truly are. It is our choices.
Hello and welcome to Jen Taylor Rerouting, where being rude is never acceptable, but sarcasm is welcome and swearing isn't always a bad option. Let's get started. Welcome to Mom's Running It. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Erica Duran. You can find Erica at ericaduran.co and you'll have all the links in that. Erica, welcome to Mom's Running It.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's wonderful.
And we found out we have almost the same birthday, except I'm a few years older, right? Which right, makes us Sagittarius, which I don't know if that means anything, but it's fun.
We're supposed to be the luckiest sign.
Well, I mean, I'd have to agree. To some degree, I think that's right. And I'm super excited about your story. I think things tend to happen to me. Tell me if this is how they work for you. I have to hear something 2, 3, 4 times. It's not like I need a sign. I need like a 2x4. And your name actually came up like a 2x4 several times. And then I realized it was the same person that I kept hearing about.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was curious to how you heard about me.
A friend of mine who is a business coach, a little different than how you do things, which is great. She said, you need to look this lady up. So I did, and I internet stalked you and read everything on your website and saw the kissing the dolphin picture. And I know that's something you actually bring up late in one of your podcasts, or in something that I read, that some people may look at your website and think it's not this perfectly professional 3-piece suit, arms crossed, in front of the white wall, it's palm trees. And I feel like that's more relatable. But I found you there.
I said if anyone was gonna not work with me because I have a dachshund and palm trees on my website, then they can just keep walking.
Right, exactly. So then I heard your podcast on John Lee Dumas on EO.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, geez, there's something so familiar about this. Anyway, so long story short, finally the 2x4 hit enough that I reached out to you. So I appreciate that. And I want to touch on a couple things, because I've listened to several podcasts and I've looked at your information, and I like to kind of be a little off the beaten path. So some information people can find and learn. I know that you are an only child.
Right.
And your childhood was really pretty good. Your parents were together until you were much older. That part of life was good. But you commented that you were kind of an entrepreneur. It was sort of ingrained in you since you were little. Tell me about that.
Well, I didn't have anyone to model as being an entrepreneur, but it was something that was kind of always inside of me. And maybe because I was an only child and didn't have anyone else to talk to, I was left with myself a lot, and a lot of introspection, I guess. But I just knew I didn't like any rules or like playing along with the game everyone had. And I know it sounds cliche because everyone's kind of saying that now on the internet, but there was just something before the 4-hour work week, before all of this lifestyle kind of became a thing in the online world. I just knew something could be different when I can remember as little as 9 or 10, trying to start some kind of stationary business on the corner instead of a lemonade stand.
Right. No, you wanted to go big, no lemonade.
Right.
And you've done some really cool things. And one thing that I love about everything that I've read is you took skills that you were innately good at, or you learned them. And organization was a huge one.
Yeah, organization with physical things and time management, productivity stuff. I was total geek in junior high with my Franklin Covey planner and everything.
I was too. And I heard that, and you even thought it. And instantly if it's a Franklin Covey person by just saying, well, Franklin Covey, or your belief window, you use
your quadrant. What quadrant are you in right now?
Exactly. And you instantly know if they're a Franklin Covey follower or not by whether there's no reaction. So when I heard that about you, I was like, oh, I know where her head's at with that. So you worked the 9 to 5.
Yeah, a long time.
And there were things that you can really like about a business or that attract you and hate at the same time. Tell me where was the disdain in working for someone else?
I'm not a morning person, so it was get up at 7 to drive an hour to get somewhere by 9 and take your lunch at a certain time, and you can't go. What do you mean you can't go get your nails done in the middle of the day? Like, why would I go when it's busy? Stuff like that. When to take vacation, all that kind of stuff. It didn't jive with me, and I would think, oh, my always thought my supervisors were so stupid and they were making more money than me. And I was like, why are you doing it this way? This is such a waste of time to be having these meetings that don't mean anything. And just all the other employees just kind of talking around the water cooler and scrolling through Facebook and just whatever they're doing, they're not working.
Right. So it's a waste of time.
Waste of time, yeah, and that goes back to the time management aspect. But then having to sit there till 5 or even beyond to look busy or look like you should be promoted, like you're putting in the extra effort and the extra mile. And so I got all my work done in the first hour of the day, and then I'm just sitting there till 5 and beyond to kind of look good.
Right. And that's not fun. And I totally get that. And there were some aha moments for you. You ran Clutterbugs. Well, you really wanted to do your own thing, so you did, and you did Clutterbugs, which was very successful, and you did it for a long time. And so I have a question about that, though. You sold everything. You've done it a couple times. Just sold everything you own, the house, everything. And you made good money at your job, too. So it wasn't like you wanted to do something on your own to earn that 6 figures. For you, it was the freedom, correct?
Right, because I wanted to be time and location independent, but the more complex Clutterbugs got, and having a warehouse full of clutter that I had to show up to every day was not for me. And I just kind of woke up one day and was like, why am I a minimalist and now I'm surrounded by all these other people's clutter, which is like more gross than your own clutter.
Yeah, no, and that was my next question. When you sold everything that first time, did you maintain that minimalist lifestyle?
Well, there were several stages. So I sold the house, and the first time I was married and very Martha Stewart, so I had everything well organized and labeled, but there was a lot of things. There was the summer linen and the winter linen and this Christmas thing and that Thanksgiving set of dishes. So there was a lot of stuff, but it was very organized and labeled. And that first fell swoop was to sell all that kind of extra stuff and downsized my expensive gated community Orange County house to live by the beach. So that was the first level. The second level was getting it down to basically a suitcase or a kind of full Volkswagen convertible Beetle.
Right. And we are minimalist also. I love that it looks different for all of us, but that process is painful. And because you went through that, you could understand people's sentiment and their pain and their attachment. So with Clutterbugs, I imagine not only the time management, the organization, but also you took that pain away from them by coming in and saying, well, but what if I could get this much for it?
Right. That helped.
Anymore, do you?
That helped taking their stuff on consignment and giving them money in return eased the pain a little bit. But honestly, when I look back, I was a horrible professional organizer because I was like, why do you have all this crap? I'm like, I didn't want to organize it. I wanted to get a big truck to just start over.
Right. And yeah, no kidding. And I wasn't sure because I know you sold everything first because you didn't need the house, you didn't need the stuff, but it was also what helped launch you to do your own thing.
Right. Selling my own stuff helped give me the money to not panic and everything and start the online business. So that was probably not so good thing because I had all this cushion in the beginning. So I didn't really have to hustle that much in the beginning. I had, ocean view apartment. Well, everything was beautiful, fine. If I worked 2 days or not, who cared, kind of thing. So
right. And then you wanted to do your own thing. A huge part of that was the freedom and the time and living on the beach and going running and spending time with your dogs, basically doing whatever you wanted. And then you kind of became a slave to the business that you had started, the Clutterbugs business.
right.
And found yourself in the same thing, same rat race, same situation, just you were the CEO.
Right.
Instead of sitting at a desk bored, which is a step up.
Right.
But it wasn't the step that you wanted.
Right.
So in this time period, and I know I'm jumping around time frame wise a little bit, you had divorces, disease, death. Tell me when that was compared to leaving the corporate world and starting Clutterbugs and then ending Clutterbugs. Where was all of that happening?
So all the death and diseases I got divorced twice. So once was like I was still in corporate, total corporate, and the last time was 2 years after I left corporate, so 2006-ish. Actually, we were separated for almost 6 years and not officially divorced. So that was another long story. But as far as the constant death, disease, like destruction, everything, that was only, I'm a year out of it. So it was the 5 years prior. So 2015 and behind. So
10 to 15-ish.
Yeah.
So you had sold Clutterbugs already
2012-ish.
Okay, so in that whole, so what was going on with family? I mean, I know divorces. I've been divorced.
Yeah, 2 divorces. I don't have kids. I have dogs, and just one dog passing away after another, and not just passing, but 2 years of chemotherapy, every week going to chemotherapy with them, or just all kinds of doctor's appointments. So it wasn't one day I put my dog to sleep. It was 2 years of stuff going on. Okay. And then my dad had cancer as well, the same time my dogs did. And the divorce in the middle of that, the business, of course, not very solid because I'm a mess. I had to even move out of that Ocean View apartment I talked about. I had to move out of that because it was just completely infested with mold, and I kept getting sick. So just all kinds of things going on.
So I know in some of your information you've talked about how there were times you were almost homeless, or you were right there where bankruptcy was there, kind of knocking at your door. Was this all that same time period?
Yeah, it's the ups and downs. That particular moment that you probably heard on John Lee Dumas' show was about 2 years ago. So not that long ago. No, not that long ago. So I know you road tripped and you got a new dog in a different state. I remember reading that. And I was like, that was one road trip. Yeah, well, actually, my dad left me, he earmarked that money to get a new dog. So that was one of the things that, so I found Vienna online, and I had got another mini dachshund just randomly in 2010. So.
Okay. So that road trip was kind of pivotal, and I love those stories. This was literally off the beaten path because you were road tripping, but you went and got this puppy, and that was kind of like the breath you needed to regroup. Is that right?
Yeah, a little bit. And some strange things happened along the way. My friend and I took a wrong turn and we were in Arizona going to Texas, but we ended up in this place that looked exactly like my dad's town in Montana. And he was a hunter, and it even said "Hunters Welcome," and all these weird things kept going on this trip. And like I said, this dog, my friend found it on the internet randomly. I wasn't planning on getting another dog. My other dog just passed away, and then getting on this weird road trip, and then lightning almost killed us. There's just a lot of things going on in that.
Those are the stories I love.
There was just so many things. It was a complete rainstorm, and the lightning was hitting the road water, and I just asked my dad for help. I'm not that religious or spiritual or anything, but I just like, please let's get through this. And it just parted, everything just parted. So there's a lot of weird things going on that trip. And I kind of regrouped after that trip. And before this, I was going through all the deaths and everything. And I kind of nested a little bit back in Newport Beach. And then after that trip, I'm like, no, I'm just pretending that I want to be here, and so I left again. Yeah.
Is that when you went to Hawaii?
I went to, yes, that's when I started, I took a little bit of time in Arizona for a summer at a family's house. They're never there. So I took a little bit of time to regroup. And then I started getting the podcast sponsors to kind of start traveling in better style, even though I couldn't quite afford it at the moment, just getting that break, that finally like something good happening and something, extraordinary, really. I don't even have a podcast, and I just asked them if they would sponsor me. I wrote them this really long letter, and they said yes. So it was my favorite resort in the world. So that's really a pivotal moment, is them saying yes. And then from there, it just structured my whole brand around basically Hawaiian tropical luxury. So that really was a big part.
So I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse a little bit in it. You put yourself out there. And
yeah.
It kind of fell into place the way it fell into place.
It did. And just being really aware of what opportunities are out there instead of, stuffing my head in a hole. So, maybe the self-isolation part and all that, I try, not to do that, and keep getting out there through media and content, and just asking.
So you do the luxury experience. Now you're in Vegas right now.
I'm in Vegas right now.
What are you doing in Vegas right now?
I'm doing VIP day luxury intensives where we work 6 hours together and basically map out all the business. So it's kind of like my 90-day program, but in one day. So it's it's for people that want fast results and want a big experience out of their coaching. Yeah,
I thought that's what it was, and I'm glad. That's very, very cool. Really great. I'm the one-day person myself. That's what I Now, your podcast, most people do podcasts through Libsyn or something like that. Do you do it through a radio?
No, it's through Libsyn.
It is through Libsyn?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know when I listened to a couple of them, there was something about radio, and I was a little confused, but I thought, well, maybe that's the anti-techie in me, just not.
Well, you know what that's from is because a lot of my audience, they're just a tad bit older, over 35, 40, and they don't even know what a podcast is. So I kind of put radio in there for that older non-millennial crowd.
Okay. See, that's where I was confused. I'm trying to bridge the gap. I'm 45. So I was like, I don't understand.
Well, now it's going to be on iHeartRadio and all now. So I guess so.
Yeah, well, true. So I love that you kind of picked all these things that you're innately or trained to be good at and married them into a career that's successful, that in turn helps other people be successful.
Right.
And so I had a coach probably about 10 years ago, because my ex-husband was a dentist, so I stopped going to college to work in the dental practice. So I kind of, when we divorced, didn't know what else to do, and worked in the dental practice and really liked it, but it wasn't my dream. And so I didn't have a dream. I had kids. I couldn't go back to college. And it was a really good experience. I have great memories. And you make a comment on one of the other podcasts about just because you've invested in something once, whether it's even social media, and it doesn't work well, don't think that nothing else will ever work well. And I've always thought, I just didn't find the right coach.
Right.
She was good. I still think about it a lot. There's a lot of reflection from it, but it didn't project me anywhere. So tell me, what's kind of your process for the projection of people and what they're doing?
Right. In my coaching, or just how they should keep investing because they keep changing and everything keeps changing?
Well, that's huge.
Yeah.
I agree. That's huge. But
Yeah.
I mean, initially, if someone comes to you and says, I don't know, who am I and what do I want to do? Or I kind of know who I am and what I want to do, or I want to do this, but I don't know how. Where do you go? What are your kind of basic steps?
Okay. I understand. Okay. So I get two schools of people coming to me. One is the person frustrated, stuck in a 9-to-5 job that wants to get out, and they have no clue what they want to do, who they want to be, but they know they want to get out. And the other crew is people that have been at their online business for a year or two, and they're not really having any traction. They follow everyone online. They're downloading every free thing. They're listening to all the podcasts, and things are a mess and in the wrong order. And they're kind of just modeling everyone else instead of tapping into their true desires and their true business model and everything and their true brand. So that's my first 3 weeks to 4 weeks with someone is super messy, uncovering all the BS and getting their true desires out there, and letting them have the space to give themselves permission to do what they really want to do. When we finally find that golden nugget with them, they always ask me, can I really do that? Like, it's so silly. Can I really do? Like, yeah. Like, why can't you? And so that's probably the first 3 or 4 weeks. I tell them right on my first free session, it's going to be really messy the first few weeks, and then it'll all come together.
I imagine it's like putting all your baggage out on the street. I mean, it's not much different than clutterbugs, right? Going
Yeah.
in, like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to take all your crap and set it out on the street and call salvation.
That's true.
Yeah.
True. I even use that as an example. If they already have a business and it's not working, I go, we're going to take every single thing out of your business and look at it and try it on, just like when you're redoing your closet. And then we're only going to put back the things that are necessary and fit and make you happy. So right. I even still use that analogy.
And most stuff doesn't fit and doesn't
right.
Right. But and that is so true. And once you kind of go through minimalism, at first it's your stuff, your physical, like the table, and you realize you don't need it, and then it becomes like the junk in your email, and it's just a matter of taking that extra second to unsubscribe,
right?
Put it in the junk file instead of delete. I mean, really, the steps aren't that hard. They really don't take a whole lot longer. You just have to do that, and then it's like the people in your life, and then it's everything. Then it's your emotional stuff. So,
and your food and everything.
Everything. Right. You're a runner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too. So now I need to come to Hawaii to run a race.
I have a friend in the Ironman race, and not me, though.
I'll do medals at the finish line at that point. So I would say, with myself, with anybody I know, the thing that stops us, a lot of that can be like really just the clutter of not knowing who we are, and then not believing. And a lot of it's fear-based.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah, especially they'll get really excited for a week. They'll kind of backslide a little bit and start doubting themselves and start coming up with reasons why it's not a good idea and things like that. When they were so excited in the beginning, that you saw that spark of genius and excitement. It's not, they're just having their chatter going on.
I think even though you can be pretty secure and confident and even know what your value is, even if you kind of really know what you want to do, it's still scary to put yourself out there in that way.
Right.
I'm sure you've experienced that.
Yeah, my podcast was 5 months late launching because it was such a thing for me. So my videos were 6 months late launching because it was such a thing. Like, that's going to be out there. Right. Like, I could take it back. I could delete it, but I didn't want to, deep down,
so I lost you for just a second.
Oh, there it goes.
Well, it's true. It's hard to be raw and vulnerable because you don't want to be rejected. You're excited about that idea. Yes, this is who I am and what I want to do. And then it's like, oh my God, what if somebody doesn't like me? And
yeah,
that's hard.
Not just that, but this has to work. I need the money. This has to work.
Right. And that's the other side of it too. And that's a huge fear. And that's something that you address a lot. Give yourself that 90 days. You can do it. But, for me, I have to make a certain amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real wiggle room in there. And I'm pretty lucky. It's not like so much that I have to,
Mm-hmm.
but that's still true.
That's good about being minimalist too. Your bills are very minimal for the most part. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. We got to get more kids out of the house. So other than the procrastination, what stops people from really being authentic to themselves?
I think that there is just way too much modeling going on too closely. I even see it with people that follow me and sometimes I'll go look at my email list and look up people's websites just to see what type of people are following me. And I look at the website and it's not copying me per se, but the same like design-esque of it or something is just a little too recognizable. Something's just a little too close to home sometimes when I look at it, which is very flattering. But if they model me or anyone else too closely, they're not going to attract the right clients for them, because they're just not going to attract anyone because there's something going to be off.
And that's a branding issue. Am I right?
Yeah, I believe so. If you're just off brand if you're using someone else's voice and someone else's, fonts and everything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a little too close to home.
Yeah.
I picked my font, so that's getting creepy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can imagine that it's flattering, but I also have to say, you said that the groups of people that are working with you are in that 35 and up, and branding is like a alien. That you couldn't get more alien to me than people say branding and I smile and nod.
Yeah.
So how do you bridge those gaps?
Right.
With the non-millennials.
Right. So, and even the millennials too. I mean, I don't think we were joking about fonts and things like that. And brands aren't really about your colors and your fonts and your logo. Brands are really what you stand for and your messaging. So getting your marketing and your messaging in alignment to who you are and your brand is very important to attract the right kind of clients. Because if I started modeling John Lee Dumas, people are like, what the what's going on here? So what I like to do with clients is really dive into what they loved as a child, what they do on the weekends when they're not working, what their hobbies are, if there's anything neat like minimalism or anything to pull out of their brand. Like mine has palm trees and dachshunds on my website, like those kind of things. Or I ask them, if you live with other people, if you had the house to yourself for a week, what would you do? Like little questions like that, because we always do some things different when we're alone than if we have a house full of people. So, where would you go on vacation? If money were an issue, what would you do? Kind of trying to pull those things out of them and then incorporating them into their brand so that they make their competition irrelevant.
Right. Because that's one thing that I'm lucky I figured out pretty early on. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there's competition. You're still unique. Who can't let it go?
Yeah. Let it go, Elsa.
Who cares? Maybe they want to be like you, because people don't think that it goes the other way. That's a mirror. They're looking back at you too. Who cares about everyone else? So you did one thing, and I don't know what the time frame was, but you charge on your American Express card your own coaching. When was that? When did that happen?
It's happened several times throughout my career, but the biggest one where there was no cushion was that 2 years ago, right?
Okay.
And it was pay my rent, pay my other credit cards off, or buy coaching. So I thought if I pay my rent and pay my credit cards off, I'm never going to get out of this situation because I'm not going to learn what I need to learn.
So what happened? So you did that. You didn't pay your rent. You didn't pay your credit card. You maxed your American Express instead for coaching. And that's terrifying. That's terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, it really makes you not procrastinate or fuddle around at all, you know. With
No,
everything.
you're on the clock now.
Yeah, within 30 days, I sold a $5,000 package. So
Wow.
I think people, and I also got a retainer for, it ended up being almost $20,000 over 2 years. So those two things happened pretty much the same around that same time. And I think it is, you know, not having a net and no family. A lot of my family's passed away and divorced. So yeah.
You kind of had nothing to lose and you
Right.
went for it. And I think that that's true, and that the minimalism, that kind of stream of thought of getting rid of all of the extra stuff kind of helps too with that.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've been doing this and you can live anywhere you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And your business travels with you. You can do it from anywhere.
Right.
And what do you like better? Do you like when people do the 3-month slow agonizing coaching? Painful, bleeding out, or these really intense days that you're doing like right now?
I don't really have a preference per se. The longer packages aren't agonizing for me in any way. If that's the right container, if that's the right space for them, that's the right package for them. Personally, I think the VIP days are a lot more exciting and they get a lot more bang for their buck, I guess, especially now because, well, let me back up. I think it really is about being in the presence of your mentor and everything, and getting that personalized one-on-one in person is very important, and also getting them out of their environment. So like my 90-day and my 6-month people, you know, we get off the phone and they got to go cook dinner and they got to go pick up the kids and it's just a big mess. But in the VIP days, they get to arrive a day early and rest and soak up the luxury. And then they leave the next day. So they have another night to soak up what they've learned. They don't have to rush off and take care of anyone else. So that's a big thing. And now I just added my Club Alihi group coaching and mastermind as a bonus to the VIP day. So it's no longer just one day, it's 6 months, basically.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So they do the intense one day and then you track them?
Well, no, they do the intense one day and then they're part of Club Alihi, which is a group program. So
okay.
they get access to me for 6 months, really. So it's really not one day anymore. And I just did that last week. So.
Well, like that marries everything. That's great.
Right.
And you used to you traveled around for a while and you were trying, and clients kind of got used to seeing you. And they, of course, I would rather see you than email you. And they got used to that, and it made that was kind of exhausting.
Yeah, it was all before I totally went online. It was when I was trying to bridge being an organizer and a productivity expert. So I can understand coming to your house to help you organize your pantry, but if we're just talking about your calendar and your time management, I don't need to be there.
Right.
So that was kind of me. My time management is suffering because you have this need to see me. And that was because we met at in-person networking groups. We didn't meet online. So there was that it was 5 to 7 years ago. So the internet dating was still weird and stuff like that.
This is very fun.
Right. So
it's online dating.
Right. So that was still weird and all, but it was really my mindset too, that I felt like I had to be there in person. They got better results when we were online because they were so focused and not looking at my shoes and things like that.
Right. But this is a good balance because I like the more intense. And I think a lot of people that can, you're right, get that person out of their environment. I didn't even think about that part of it.
Yeah, that's huge.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's huge. And really if I had you for a certain amount of time, I would want to do everything I possibly could crammed into that time with 0 distractions. Please do it all right now, this second. But I love the follow-up that you're doing now. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, there was always a follow-up session online, but
Right.
now it's a long, very long follow-up session. And, I set their expectations in the very first part of the VIP day. I don't let them come at me with a whole laundry list because it's just going to wear them out and me out. So we
Right.
really focus on the top 3 to 5 things that are their next steps. And that's part of not having a scarcity mentality is that you can always book another VIP day. You don't have to suck the
Right. Which is
Right.
true. I mean, you don't have to, Rome wasn't built, you don't need an elephant in one bite. But, but still, it would be nice to have that kind of jump start to things and not have the distractions.
Right.
So one of the podcasts I listened to, you talked about, I couldn't listen to everything. First, you have a book coming out. Did it already come out, Urban Escape?
No, it didn't come out yet. That's a project that got put on the back burner.
Okay.
It didn't come out yet.
Still planned.
Yeah, I heard this one author I spoke to. You might know her name, Tanya Brown. She was one of my clients. Yeah, and she said something at it when we were having lunch one time. She said, don't tell your story while you're still bleeding. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I kind of wanted more perspective on it, and I didn't want it to be a silly like work from anywhere, laptop on the beach looking kind of book, because there's too many of those. So I kind of wanted to give it some space and not do the whole thing I see on Amazon.
Right. That's understandable. Although it is attractive. I want a tiny house on wheels, and I don't know that we'll move it out of the yard, but I want to know that I can move it out of the yard. So I want to be able, everything has to be contained in the tiny house on wheels. At this point, that's the goal. But yeah, you don't want it to look like everybody else's or feel like everyone else's. And your experience is not like everyone else's. So it should be.
Yeah.
You made a comment somewhere in something. I wrote down like random notes that people like to be led.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
go into that a little bit, because you're working with entrepreneurs who are leaders and stronger personalities, a lot of them. So tell me about that.
Yeah, a lot of them are new though, and everyone likes to be led. I mean, they're paying for the support and guidance so they don't make the same mistakes I did per se and things like that. So um I think they still like to be led. I mean, if someone, I still value coaching greatly. I still invest in coaching and everything because I do. Not that I like to be led, but I like to not be alone in everything.
I think that's a better way to summarize that, because when you said that, I thought that's so true, but I'm not the person that wants to be led. So where do I fit in that? Because I still crave that coaching. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we don't like to be alone and kept on task and
Right.
accountable,
Mm-hmm.
maybe
Mm-hmm.
even. Because the second, I wanted to write a book forever. And the second I had the option, and, we're not married, but my partner looked at me and said, you know what, take some time and write the book. I was like, oh crap. Now I'm accountable to somebody. Right now I have to produce or just talking the talk. And that's what you're there for. You were there as accountability also.
Right, accountability and the time management background helps with setting up their projects and everything and discerning what's more important at the moment and things like that.
Because it's overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
It's overwhelming for all of us. So, okay. So I like that kind of better. And then you did the 8 strategies for the successful modern entrepreneur. And if I can say it, and it made me giggle, because you're like, women are naturally have 6 of these. And I'm like, yep, got it. And you hit the 2 last ones. I'm like, this can't be that hard. And the first one was risk taking. I was, yeah, you lost me. You definitely lost me there. Don't have that one. So how do you get through? I mean, there are 8, and there's probably offshoots on all of them, but and a lot of them are things that you were really good at. But the risk taking, that was the first one where the brakes. You hit How do you get through those moments of hitting the brakes with people?
Yeah, well, I hate to keep sounding like a broken record, but having a coach to push you through that is going to help. Also, just working on your confidence. in different ways is going to help with that too. I think I just have a risk-taking streak, and people tease me because I'm in Vegas and I don't know the first thing about gambling. I know nothing about gambling. I never really gambled, and they tease me that you're in Vegas. I'm like, yeah, but I gamble every single day of my life being an entrepreneur. I don't need to gamble in Vegas. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah.
So in all your stories of the lightning and the water, what's been the biggest surprise to this journey? Or the most difficult, the most fun, the most unexpected?
Yeah, it wasn't even the lightning and all. It was actually Hilton agreeing to sponsor the launch of the podcast. That was just a whoa moment, I guess.
What did you do when you got that email back?
It's funny you asked me that. No one's asked me that before, and I literally saw the from Hilton, and I shut my laptop. I couldn't, and I went to the gym. I couldn't open it.
So you had to eventually come home.
Yeah, I thought it was another rejection letter.
Yeah, and that's tough, but you can't get affirmations. You can't get people to say yes if you don't send it. If you don't ask the question.
Right.
I mean, in doing this podcast, and I'm still banking all my podcasts, so you can't go and find it yet. You can find a lot of other stuff, but you can't find a podcast episode. And when I ask people and they say yes, I'm like, holy crap, she said yes. Okay, wait, I want you to schedule me right now. I'll move things around. I want you to back out. You know what I mean? So where were you in that? Because I know my feeling when people say yes and it's unexpected.
Okay. I mean, it was such an authentic from the heart email that I sent to them. I just felt it in my gut that they would say yes. And I put even little funny jokes and personality into it too. And when the marketing director, when I was there the first day, the marketing director took me to dinner, and she said my letter stood out, because they get a lot of letters from bloggers and things like that. And she said, no, your letter stood out. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's another reason to, speak who you are and stick to your own voice as your brand, because I think that's what made it stand out, the letter.
Right. I love that you shut your laptop and went to the gym.
Yeah.
I mean, not what I expected.
I literally shut it.
And so I don't know, I haven't heard anybody ask you this question either, but you've been divorced. So now you kind of, you have a home base in Hawaii, and you kind of move around, and you don't have to have a home base. So what are relationships like now?
Yeah, well, just to clear that up, I've been divorced twice, and my base is actually in Orange County, not Hawaii. So.
Oh, it still is?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of I just see that as home, even though I don't really have a base there.
Right.
And you know what? My friends ask me this, but I haven't been asked on professionally. You're right, and I just have this thing where I feel like I not wasted, but the first 35 years of my life were getting into a relationship, getting out of a relationship, getting married, planning a wedding, getting divorced. Like my whole life, that was like my full-time job, was these relationships, and the time and the complications of it all. And I just, at the moment, I have no desire right now to get into any type of relationship. And that might sound weird, and it might be I need to go to therapy, or it might be because all the deaths and everything, but I've really thought about it, and I just nothing right now.
No, it doesn't sound weird. It sounds true to who you are.
Yeah.
But I know every time I see anyone doing anything where they don't have as strong a home base, that's one of the first things. Like, come on, Erica, don't you want to date? And no, you don't have to want to date.
Yeah.
You don't have to want to do that ever at all. You don't have to fit into a box. But
maybe someday, but for right now, I just feel so exhausted from that piece of my life. Not that I was, this big hurt or anything like that. I don't feel like I'm avoiding it. I just like up to other things right now. And I really do feel like the first 35 years, that was my, full-time career.
And isn't that what we're kind of taught? We're taught to get the job and work the 9 to 5 and look busy at your computer and get the raise and have the house and get the car and get married and have 2.4 kids. And I feel like sometimes it's so ingrained. We feel like we should, or we're disappointing everybody if we don't. And I did the opposite. I adopted everybody's kids.
Yeah.
So, we don't have to fit into a box. You can do it any way you want. And so I was kind of hoping you'd touch on that, because I'm sure it's not something people professionally ask you.
Yeah.
Erica, how's dating going?
Well, some of the weird digital nomad guys.
Well, and that was another offshoot of that. Like, hey, you're so good at getting my life together. Why don't you finish getting my life together? And that wouldn't be fun at all. So tell me, the lowest point was going through all that. Was part of the low point selling Clutterbugs and moving on and starting over, or was that a relief, or was it both?
Yeah, it wasn't really a low point because I was over it. But the piece that was weird for me was my CPO, Certified Professional Organizer certificate, came up for renewal, and it's only $300, but it's $300 unnecessary spending on it if I'm not going to do that anymore. It's silly. And I just had this real identity crisis with giving that up for some reason, the CPO after my name and all this stuff. And one of my friends who's really good at business, he talked me through this, and he's like, well, how many people have this thing? And I go, I think only like 100 people in America or something. He's like, and I think that's precious. Like, oh, only 100 people have it. And he's like, that's not even a real thing. He's like,
that's great.
That's not even certification.
Right. Like, so you let it go.
Yeah, I let it go. And now all the professional organizers that come to me ask me if they should get it, and it's up to them. But honestly, I think it's a waste of money.
Right. It's amazing how things shift with time.
I put your money into marketing instead of that thing.
Right. This has been so fun and so awesome and so different than I thought it would be, which is great. Do you have like one tidbit or one like super funny story? Anything embarrassing ever happen? I like the off the beaten path conversation.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm going to sound pretty boring with this. Nothing really. Yeah. I'm trying to think anything funny or, I guess, it was unexpected to get on the Entrepreneur on Fire show. That was pretty funny and pretty recent. Because I'm in Podcasters Paradise, which is their mastermind group. And I emailed Kate, John Lee Dumas' girlfriend, and said, hey, when are you taking more interviews, or where do I apply, and blah, blah, blah. And she said, we're not really taking applications till next October because we're so full. And then I was like, no, whatever. And I applied anyway. I found the application online and applied anyway. And then within a month, I was on the show. So it's not really a funny story, but it's unexpected, and it's kind of a learning point for your audience to do it anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would have to absolutely agree with that. That's a great nugget. Just do it. The worst thing people are ever going to do is say no.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing is they're not going to respond.
Right.
But who cares? what does that cost you really?
Right. And they're more worried about themselves than what you're doing anyway.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, no, nobody's generally searching and concerned about you. So
yeah.
I wish they were. So from Vegas, thank you for taking time with me today. It's been super fun and exciting. And now I clearly need to hire you. So I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Oh. I didn't know this was that type of interview.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. But I'm like, I should have done a better coaching, and I do need to keep doing that. And it's true. You really need to find someone that you click with, but it is absolutely true that you can be the best coach ever and still need to have a coach. And
oh yeah,
great point that you made earlier, that you don't hit this. You're not suddenly the Dalai Lama coaching, and you don't need anything anymore. So I appreciate you.
Oh, not at all. We can't do surgery on ourselves at all. Like,
Right.
that's one thing I learned is you really need outside perspective, because be having trouble with my sales conversations or something, and just talk to another entrepreneur, and they'll say one little thing and it doesn't even make sense. They'll say, well, you're marketing to women. And then some light bulb will just come off for me. I'm like, it doesn't really make sense, but to me, it hit me in the gut somehow. And
right. And that's true. So no, it was not an interview for your but hopefully people see the value in that. And I really appreciate you. I'll have all the links about how to find you, but it's you're pretty easy to find, actually.
Yeah.
It's
pretty obnoxious.
No, it's not at all. I mean, if you type your name in, you
right.
everything is on your website, ericaduran.co. And so it's super easy, and I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate this so much, and for the speedy setup.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening in to Jen Taylor Rerouting. Like, share, and of course, comment. I welcome input with attitude. Get a copy of my book on Amazon, Hello, My Name is Warrior Princess, or check out my website, jentaylor.net. And if you still want more, sign up for one of my coaching packages.